But another thing that can make Shakespeare's play challenging for us, and I think also fun, is the way that he says things. So here is an example. This is actually not from Shakespeare because I wanted to start with a little simpler example. So I wrote this one. The child's act of kindness thawed his icy heart. Does this sentence mean exactly what it says?
No.
No. Because what would happen if you actually had an icy heart?
You'd be dead.
You'd be dead, yeah. If your core body temperature drops below some point, like, I don't know, 70 or 75 or something, that's it. We're gone. So you can't have an icy heart. This is a figure of speech, and Henry just told us what kind it is. It's a metaphor. Thank you, Henry. You might remember these. We talked about them at least once, and this was back in first quarter when we read a poem called The Writer. And see if this rings a bell. There was a dad talking about his daughter and how they went to a room where a bird was trapped. Remembering the trapped bird, and the bird is trying to get out the window, and finally it figures it out.
Yeah, I remember that, but I don't remember what it was about.
Okay. Well,
What the meaning of it was.
for our purposes, you don't have to remember the whole poem, but you can remember that as a metaphor, because the trapped bird was being compared to the girl, to her life. So, I've already kind of partly given away the definition, but before we went any further, I wanted to see if anybody, besides Henry, can remember the definition of a metaphor. And I'm not looking for any exact wording, I'm just looking for, like, the idea.
Henry.
Okay.
Using something to describe something else in a different way.
Good. Using something to describe something else. Good. Any other words that you want to use for metaphor?
Maybe comparison?
Like a comparison. Good. So if you want a little bit more technical definition, which you don't have to memorize, a metaphor is an implied comparison. And what I mean by implied is shown by these two little red circles, the lines through. If we were making a direct comparison, we would use a comparative word, like, or as. We would say something like,
As tall as a tree.
yeah, this guy is as tall as a tree. That's a direct comparison because we use a comparative word, as. A metaphor is implied, so it would be something more like the tree on the other team blocked her shot. Okay, now there's not actually a tree on the other team, right? It's implying a comparison between their really tall post player and a tree. Implied comparison, make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so here are the goals for today before we go any further. I have 4 of them. First, I'd like you to be able to recognize metaphors. We just talked about what they are. So when you're reading, say Romeo and Juliet, I'm hoping that you'll be able to say, ah, that's a metaphor. Recognize it. Secondly, understand what they mean. Now, sometimes that's easier and sometimes it's harder. So I don't expect you to always be able to understand what Shakespeare's metaphors mean, but sometimes, yes. If you want to think about hard ones, remember that riddle we did at the beginning of the quarter? A narrow fellow in the grass occasionally rides. Not very many of us figured it out, right? That poem was full of metaphors. It was full of comparisons of the snake to things like whiplashes. But the poet never told us what the poem was about. And so some of us figured it out, and some of us didn't. Besides understanding the meaning of metaphors, we're also going to be being analytical and trying to decide, what is this metaphor adding? What does it add to the meaning of third goal, I'm hoping that you will get better during what we're going to do in class today at rephrasing metaphors. In other words, you see a metaphor, you figure out what it means. Can you say that in more normal, straightforward language? More literal language. This is a word that I didn't put on here, but anybody know what the word literal means? Go ahead, Henry.
Literal means like, it's what it is. It's like,
Yeah.
straightforward.
If you are being literal, you're saying exactly what you mean. So instead of saying, I'm drowning in homework, you would say, I have about 4.5 hours of homework tonight. That would be a literal statement.
So it's like you're not just. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. Drowning in homework would be a metaphor because you're not actually drowning.
Well, unless you like fill up like, papers and you just. Yeah.
Okay. Finally, my last goal, Mara, has to do with you as a creative person. When you look at a metaphor, can you not only understand what it's saying, but respond with some creativity of your own, like a picture or a metaphor that you write? I can do a different metaphor to say the same thing.
You got that too.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to show you a metaphor from Romeo and Juliet now, and we can talk about how you would do these things. With me?
Yes.
Here it is. Anybody want to read this?
I'll read it.
I'll read it. I'll read it.
Kristen, thank you.
Okay. Here, I put it close. Two of the fairest stars in all of the heaven, having some business, do entreat her eyes, to twinkle in their spirits till they return. What if her eyes were there, they in her head? The brightness of her cheek would change those stars. As daylight doth lamp her eyes in heaven, would through the airy regions stream so bright, that birds would sing and things fit. Were not night.
That was the first time I saw her in the ball.
Thank you. And close. Henry's guessing this was when he first saw her. Yeah, I think it's actually later.
What?
Balcony.
Macedon?
I think she's standing on the balcony,
Oh.
and Romeo is talking about
Her eyes.
Juliet's eyes.
Ooh.
So, I went searching for a picture. I was not brave enough to do the art part of this myself, to try to draw Juliet with stars for eyes. So I searched for Juliet star eyes.
Ready to draw?
Not bad.
Yeah, that's what I would have done.
But yeah, the comparison here, Juliet's eyes are being compared to stars. Good. If we were to translate that, if we were to put it into regular, direct English, it is saying that Juliet has really bright eyes. At least Romeo thinks so. Because I should have stayed on the metaphor for just a little bit longer. He talks about her eyes and stars changing places, right?
Yeah.
If that happened, what does he say would happen to the stars?
They'd be brighter.
The brightness of her cheek would change the stars.
Yeah, so the stars would be like, oh, it was so dull.
Compared
Because
to like
compared to the rest of Juliet, they would look muddy or something. I don't know.
So he's saying stars, but you have to adjust it?
Right. And on the flip side, if Juliet's eyes were in the sky as stars, what would happen to the birds?
We'll be burnt to death.
it would sing.
They would sing. Why?
Because they wouldn't know it's night because her eyes are so bright.
Yes, it'd be like daylight, so the birds start singing. Juliet's eyes are really bright. That's what he's saying. Now, to get a little bit analytical, what is the effect of this metaphor? I wrote one down and then I have another one in mind. One of the effects is it is sort of equating Juliet with the sky, right? With the heavens. She is not an earthly creature. She He's a heavenly creature. The other thing, though, the other benefit of this metaphor, it shows us something about Romeo.
He likes
Right things.
Okay? Yeah.
No, that he's truly in love.
He's
or,
truly in love. And what is his personality like?
well, at the time he was.
Alien?
Well, like, not drastic, but yeah, kind of like that.
Kind of drastic.
Dramatic, maybe.
He's dramatic, sure. He's emotional, right?
Yeah.
This is not some guy standing down there going, not bad. No, he gushes. If her eyes were in the heavens, it would be like daylight. Over the top. Okay. So, although I didn't try to draw a picture, I did decide to do another metaphor. Something else you could compare Juliet's eyes to, maybe diamonds. So, through all the stony earth of my hard years have I been digging, only to uncover these perfect diamonds in her face.
Was
Oh,
that?
this makes me laugh.
You wrote that.
That's me.
Yeah, it was like, that's not you.
And I actually think that Shakespeare's is better. I'll tell you why. The effect of this metaphor is to put a little bit more emphasis on Romeo, right? His digging, how hard his life has been. It still says that Juliet has beautiful eyes, but it puts more emphasis on Romeo, and it also puts Juliet where? Where are her eyes? In the heavens?
No.
In the ground.
In the ground. So it loses that sort of heavenly aspect. So I think that Shakespeare's metaphor is a better choice. But still, this gave me a chance to try to be creative.
But Shakespeare also included Romeo a little bit in his, like, the way he wrote it about Juliet. You can tell things about Romeo, which is like the third step, right?
Yeah.
Or no?
Yeah, and that's where we talked about it showing how emotional Romeo is. And maybe a little bit extreme or dramatic, like Kayleen said. Okay, good. Before I have you guys do some work with a metaphor more on your own, I want to try one as a class. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. You're going to need to get into the play, Romeo and Juliet, and I want you to find a metaphor, not the one that I just put up here about Juliet's eyes. Find a different metaphor in the play. Possible prize, I don't have one with me today, but I might be willing to bring a prize to the person who first finds a metaphor.
Oh,
Did the talent show actually cancel?
The talent show did get canceled, yes.
Because
Nobody
y'all are
signed
so
up.
busy.
I thought there's at least 3.
I was going to sign up.
I didn't.
I had a little
I
guitar
thought
I was
TT
going
was
to play.
doing it.
I didn't see crossed your name.
Oh.
Okay, so are we looking for metaphors? Okay, I will wait. Let me know when you have found one.
Found one.
Kristen, you
I
found one?
haven't even opened up my book yet.
Okay,
Scene 3, Act 2 by Friar Lawrence.
okay, everybody listen.
He says, like a drunk, the darkness stumbles away.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and write this
I
down.
booked
That's
one
not
too.
good. That's
Can I
not
look
good.
at mine?
Like a drunk, the darkness stumbles away.
Yeah. Say 3-7.
Good? Is this a comparison?
It's comparing it to a drunk, like a drunk.
It's a comparison, but it's not a metaphor.
Oh no,
It is a comparison of darkness to what?
a drunk.
To a drunk. But Kayleen says it's not a metaphor. Why?
It says
Oh.
light.
Because it says light.
Oh, it's
Okay.
not? Oh, I thought it was.
It's a comparison, very similar.
And as is also a comparison.
Yeah.
Using it.
So,